What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and we recently witnessed the birth of a new phenomenon within the anime meme community with the release of Neo Yokio, a 6-episode Netflix original animated series created by Ezra Koenig. Neo Yokio follows the story of a high society magistocrat named Kaz Khan, voiced by Jaden Smith, as he tries to balance his time between brooding over a recent breakup, exercising demons throughout the city, and trying to be an elegant gentleman slash field hockey player. Now, because the animation style of Neo Yokio was heavily influenced by anime, and many themes and tropes in the show are direct references to anime, including the title itself of course, it is no surprise that many members of the anime community felt the urge to weigh in on this series. From what I've seen, most people seem to think that Neo Yokio is either really bad or so bad that it's good, and they can't believe such amazing voice acting talent went into such a bad show, including the likes of Jude Law, Susan Sarandon, and Steve Buscemi. Some notable videos that I've seen which address Neo Yokio include videos from Lou Talks Anime, The RPG Monger, and Baron J. I definitely recommend checking out their videos, links will be in the description. But I decided to make my own video because I have a pretty different take on this whole thing. I don't think that Neo Yokio is bad at all. It's actually brilliant for what it is trying to be. And no, I'm not going to say psych at some point in this video and tell you that this was all a joke and I think the show is trash. I genuinely liked it, and I knew that I would like it as soon as I saw that one of the characters is named Archangelo. Not Angelo, Archangelo. How deliciously pretentious. I laughed out loud as soon as I saw this, and that's when I was hooked. The problem that we seem to be running into as an anime community is that because it uses an anime aesthetic or art style, Neo Yokio is being judged by anime standards. But we need to get this straight right off the bat. Neo Yokio is not an anime. It is a Western cartoon that pays homage to anime. And for those of you who are not French weebs like me, it pays homage to anime. There are definitely a ton of anime tropes and cliches that fans of anime will recognize in Neo Yokio. Random skirt shots, hikikomori, idol culture, demon girls, mechas, and so on. Nevertheless, while paying tribute to anime, at its core, Neo Yokio is far more similar to Western adult cartoons like BoJack Horseman and Archer than to anime. And this is why we need to remember that what makes anime anime is not just an art style. The unique cultural and historical context also plays a key role. And for this reason, Avatar is not an anime and neither is Neo Yokio. That said, there are numerous blatant references to anime in Neo Yokio, including the exorcist slash demon slayer slash supernatural detective genre in anime, science fiction themes inspired by anime like Akira, teen romance themes and settings similar to Ouran Host Club and Nagi Asu, and there are even direct and or indirect references to works of sci-fi authors like William Gibson and Philip K. Dick. Oh, and is that a motherfucking Hamlet reference? Neo Yokio is at its core a beautiful mess that combines some of the craziest aspects of anime with some of the most outrageous elements of Western culture. And to put it simply, Neo Yokio is what happens when Ouran Host Club meets Daily Lives of High School Boys meets BoJack Horseman meets Big Toblerones. The first thing we need to understand when watching Neo Yokio is the type of humor it intentionally embraces. Neo Yokio embraces a surreal or absurdist comedy style, which, to quote Wikipedia, is a form of humor predicated on deliberate violations of causal reasoning, producing events and behaviors that are obviously illogical. The humor derived gets its appeal from the fact that the situation described is so ridiculous or unlikely. The whole point of such humor is to be unrealistic, absurd, and over the top in order to shine a spotlight on the absurdity of the real world. By exaggerating to the point of absurdity, it subverts our expectations and forces us to think about the actual absurdity in the real world, in our own world. In Neo Yokio in particular, the main themes covered are the general malaise and meaninglessness of modern urban life, along with the absurd elitism, vanity, luxury, and social inequality of modern society. However, as I said earlier, these themes are explored through exaggerated and absurd situations which are not meant to be realistic. They are meant to be so outrageous that they make us stop and think, wait, modern society could not possibly be anything like this, could it? Good example of similar absurdist, surreal, and satirical cartoons are, as mentioned earlier, BoJack Horseman and Archer, but also the early seasons of Family Guy, films like Napoleon Dynamite and Borat, and of course Adult Swim shows like Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. This type of comedy is not for everyone. Many find it to be too outlandish to relate to, but Neo Yokio actually fits really well within this subgenre. Going into Neo Yokio and expecting a serious attempt to make a sophisticated anime series is like going into Keijo expecting a serious sports anime, or going into One Punch Man and expecting a Dark Knight-esque gritty superhero story. We have to take Neo Yokio for what it is, and for what it is, it's brilliant. Sure, the animation is not great by any means, the music is all over the place, and the show cannot compare to the kind of quality we have become accustomed to with most anime. But I genuinely enjoyed Neo Yokio and I thought it was hilarious. I noticed that a lot of critics seem to think that Neo Yokio takes itself seriously but fails as a serious show. But I do not think that Neo Yokio takes itself seriously for a second. For instance, I firmly believe that the melodramatic classical music interspersed with sudden bursts of jazz and other genres was not intended to make the show seem more serious, but just the opposite. It is a satire of melodrama, and the fact that inside Neo Yokio there is an underground club that plays Gregorian house music says it all in my mind. The absurd situations and characters, the endless parade of anime tropes and references, the protagonist's over-the-top vanity and melodramatic brooding over pointless bullshit, and of course the epic rival Arcangelo. I loved it all. Arcangelo is such a cliche, overly competitive douchebag rival character that it's actually hilarious. And in fact, if I'm being honest, I prefer him to many of the rival characters we've seen in recent popular anime. Arcangelo is a self-obsessed, pretentious douchebag to the core, but at least he's open and honest about it, and at least he does it in style. And this random, surreal, outlandish humor is enough for me to enjoy the show on its own. But you can also dig deeper into the symbolism and meaning behind the show if you really want to. For instance, I've seen a lot of criticism directed at the main character Kaz Khan because he is vain, shallow, melancholic, and doesn't really undergo any meaningful development throughout the series. But that's exactly the point. He is a product of the society of Neo Yokio, and it isn't easy to overcome social conditioning and see outside the box if that box is all you've ever known. If Kaz could change so easily and suddenly become a better person, then the social commentary would be far less potent. If it were so easy to escape the shackles of conformity that modern society places upon us, then anyone could do it. But it isn't easy, and that's the point. After all, in real life, many people never quote-unquote develop at all. They remain greedy, vain, and pretentious for their entire lives. However, in Neo Yokio we do have Helena Sen Tessero, and she is a character who sees outside the box. A former fashion blogger who built a Jake Pauler-esque following through her online fashion blogging, she comes to see the absurdity of modern society and rebels against it by rejecting fashionable clothing and the meaningless social spectacles of Neo Yokio's high society. Through Helena, we get to experience the full extent of Neo Yokio's absurdity, and because of her, our protagonist Kaz begins to reevaluate reevaluate some of his priorities, if ever so slightly, when he eventually decides to help her. And of course, we also have the famous Big Toblerone, which can be said to have important symbolic meaning as well. One could argue that the Big Toblerone represents the strong desire for social acceptance that so many of the characters in Neo Yokio express. And the Toblerone is therefore a symbol of conformity. If you conform to society's expectations, then you deserve a Big Toblerone. But if you don't, then no Toblerone for you. Finally, Kaz, the protagonist, may not be as simplistic of a character as we think. He could be looked at as the millennial Hamlet, an indecisive, melancholic, self-hating, existentialist madman. But he is not to blame for this, not entirely, because he is the product of his society. And is the society of Neo Yokio really that different from our society? That is the question that we are left with, and it is an interesting one, all things considered. And regardless of whether you like Neo Yokio for its humor, or its underlying themes, or whether you just hate everything about it, I think that it's a great thing that Neo Yokio exists. Its very existence proves that anime is becoming globally recognized to the point that an entire Netflix series with a star-studded cast would pay tribute to anime in such a direct way. As long as we don't expect it to be something that it's not, as long as we don't compare it to high-quality anime and just enjoy it for the satirical and surreal anime-inspired American comedy that it is, there will be plenty of Big Toblerones to go around for everyone. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like in order to help me move up in the most eligible Bachelor rankings. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.